Hey guys! Today we're diving into another truly horrifying case. If you want to support my channel, make sure to subscribe and stay active. It really helps me out. I'd be super grateful for that. Let's get started. On November 22nd, 2022, Jasmine Pace was supposed to join her family for a Thanksgiving dinner, but she never showed up. She didn't answer calls, and the messages sent from her phone seemed off, like they were written by someone else. Her family grew anxious right away. Jasmine had never gone missing without a word before. Her mother, Katarina, tried calling her over and over again, but all she heard on the other end was silence. Meanwhile, posts supposedly from Jasmine began to appear on social media, but they raised even more concerns. The photos didn't show her new tattoos, and the messages didn't sound like her usual self. Her family instantly knew that something was wrong. They reached out to all her friends and checked every place she might have been, but their search turned up nothing. By midnight, their worry turned to panic. No one knew where Jasmine was, and with each passing hour, their fears grew stronger. Jasmine Nicole Pace was born on May 29, 2000, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. From the very beginning, she was surrounded by love and support from her parents, Katarina and Travis Pace. The family was close-knit, although over time her parents went their separate ways. After that, Katarina began a new chapter with another man, Scott Bean, who became a real source of strength for Jasmine and her siblings. Jasmine's half-brother, Eden Bean, grew up alongside them, making the bonds in the family even tighter. After finishing high school, Jasmine went on to study at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. She was always driven by new possibilities. She dreamed of turning her childhood ambitions into reality. For her, it wasn't just about getting a degree. She wanted to build a bright and fulfilling future. Jasmine's dreams stretched far beyond her career. She often talked about becoming a mother and how she pictured herself in that role. A few months before she went missing, Jasmine started dating Jason Chen. He was also a student at the university where she studied. They met on a popular dating app that many young people used to meet new people. In the beginning, their relationship was a quiet one. Jasmine didn't share any details with her family and kept things to herself. She didn't even mention Jason's name or how much he meant to her in conversations with her loved ones. Her parents and siblings didn't even suspect that she was seeing someone. For Jasmine, it was all new territory. She wanted to understand what it meant to be in love, but she wasn't ready to talk about it openly just yet. Jason didn't fit in with Jasmine's usual circle. He seemed mysterious and kept to himself. Later, her family would learn that he was studying computer technology and preferred to keep a low profile, avoiding close connections with other people. Her family and friends were never able to figure out exactly what kind of person he was. Jasmine kept her relationship with Jason a secret, maybe because she wanted to be sure it really meant something to her. But back then, her loved ones had no idea how important he had become to her. Later, that secrecy would be one of the reasons why this tragedy took so long to come to light. Jason himself didn't make any effort to get to know her family or friends. He showed no interest in her social circle. It turned out that Jason barely had any close friends who could say anything good about him. At first glance, he seemed quiet and unassuming, but beneath that was a closed-off personality with intentions that no one could quite figure out. While there weren't any open conflicts between them, it became clear over time that Jason was deliberately putting distance between himself and Jasmine. He built up barriers that let him stay in the background. When Jasmine disappeared, Jason's secrecy seemed even more chilling. Later, her family and investigators learned that he was fully in control of their conversations, from phone calls to text messages. Jason didn't want to make their relationship public, and Jasmine, usually so open, went along with that secrecy. On the evening of November 22nd, Jasmine Pace was at her mother's home in Chattanooga. She was calm that day, but her relatives noticed a hint of distance in her demeanor. She didn't talk about her plans or what she was going to do, which left her mother feeling uneasy. Around 11:30 p.m., Jasmine got up, left the house, and drove off in her white Chevrolet Equinox. Her family didn't know where she was headed and didn't ask. She often had errands or meetings she didn't always discuss. That was the last time her family saw her. After that, no information came in about where she might be, and the investigation had to rely on digital traces and indirect clues. By the morning of November 23rd, Jasmine's family was getting worried. Her absence and the silence from her were too unusual to chalk up to being busy or running late. Her mother, Katerina, started calling Jasmine's friends and acquaintances to find out where she might be. No one knew where she'd spent the night. Calls to Jasmine's phone went unanswered, and her messaging apps showed she was offline. These circumstances were especially concerning because Jasmine was always in touch with her family, even when she had a lot going on. Meanwhile, strange posts started showing up on Jasmine's social media profiles. This alarmed everyone who knew her. The Facebook photos were especially troubling. Jasmine didn't have the new tattoos she'd gotten just a month earlier. The pictures looked like they'd been taken long before she went missing. The captions on the posts were also odd and didn't sound like Jasmine at all. "Enjoying Thanksgiving with my baby." Her family knew immediately that she would never write something like that. The tone was completely wrong and didn't match how she usually communicated online. These oddities only deepened the family's fears. Katerina and her relatives realized that someone might be using her accounts to hide the truth. That pushed them to take action. Using a vehicle tracking app, they checked the location of Jasmine's Chevrolet Equinox. The geolocation showed that her car was parked at the Signal View apartment complex. Her family had never heard of that place. No one could explain why her car would be there. This fact only added to their suspicions. On November 26th, Jasmine's family decided to go to Signal View themselves and see if the car was really there. They found the car parked in the lot of the complex. When they looked inside, they noticed that the driver's seat was pushed way back, much farther than usual. Jasmine was only about 5 feet 2 inches, and she always had to pull the seat forward to reach the pedals. This detail made it clear that someone else had been driving. Her family understood right away that Jasmine couldn't have been the one who drove there. At the same time, Katerina was going through Jasmine's phone records after she managed to get access to the details of her calls. She saw that the last long conversation logged on the phone was with Jason Chen, lasting 71 minutes. But when Katerina called Jason and asked what they had talked about, he said the conversation was short, just a few minutes. This clear contradiction raised serious doubts in Katerina's mind. What worried her even more was how indifferent Jason sounded on the phone. He didn't seem concerned at all about Jasmine's disappearance. He didn't ask how the search was going or offer to help in any way. This attitude was completely out of line with what anyone would expect from someone who had been close to Jasmine. Jasmine's family began to see Jason as someone who might have been involved in her disappearance. Tension was rising, and they understood that every minute counted and that any lost detail could make the search harder. Deciding they couldn't waste any time, they insisted on checking Jason's apartment. Along with Travis Pace, a family friend, Katerina went to Jason's place, even though they didn't have official permission to enter. Their worry for Jasmine's life was too strong to wait. When they got inside, they immediately noticed the state of the place. Things were scattered around, but it didn't look like normal messiness. It looked like someone had tried to quickly clean up anything that might raise suspicions. In the hallway and bathroom, they saw dark stains that couldn't be explained away. They looked like traces of blood. Among the scattered items in the apartment, they found Jasmine's driver's license, her bank cards, and her travel bag. That confirmed once and for all that Jasmine had been there. Her family realized they had found the place where Jasmine spent her last days before she disappeared. Right after that, Katarina contacted the police and reported everything they had found, knowing that Jason's apartment could hold the key to what really happened to Jasmine. After the family's report, the police got a warrant to search the apartment. When investigators officially entered the place, they used chemical agents to test for traces of blood and other biological evidence. Those tests revealed stains that Jason had tried to scrub away. Parts of the floor had been mopped, and some of the furniture had been moved around. Experts determined that this cleaning wasn't the kind of tidying up people usually do. It was clearly an effort to hide evidence, not just to clean the home. Every single detail the officers uncovered only made their suspicions about Jason grow stronger. Jason didn't even try to explain his behavior. Instead, he pulled away from their questions and didn't show any interest in helping. The items belonging to Jasmine, the stains, the rearranged furniture, and Jason's distant attitude all added up to one clear story. This apartment was where something terrible had happened to Jasmine. After finding these disturbing clues in Jason's apartment, the police immediately began talking to the neighbors. Residents of the building remembered what happened on the night of November 22nd into the 23rd. Many were hesitant to speak up at first, but what they eventually said was crucial. People in apartment 210 reported hearing loud noises that night: fast footsteps, a woman's scream, and banging sounds. A woman who lived on the floor below said she was woken up around 2:11 a.m. by a woman's voice filled with panic. Her description lined up with the strange message Jasmine had sent to her mother at 2:18 a.m. A text that included only coordinates, like a last-ditch effort to ask for help when she couldn't speak. After the police realized that Jason Chen might be linked to Jasmine's disappearance, they turned to digital data and security footage for answers. Surveillance cameras showed that on the evening of November 22nd, Jasmine's car was seen pulling up to Jason's place. Her white Chevrolet Equinox was captured parking by the building around midnight. The next morning, on November 23rd, cameras caught Jason leaving his house, driving Jasmine's car, and heading toward the Signal View apartment complex, where her vehicle was later found. This footage confirmed that he used Jasmine's car after she went missing. Other recordings showed Jason returning to his home in a different car that he had rented for that period. Cameras at Walmart captured him on the morning of November 23rd, buying bleach, peroxide, and other cleaning supplies. Later that same day, footage from Walgreens showed him buying paper towels. These trips were spread out at different times, giving the appearance of normal errands, but investigators recognized them as attempts to cover up evidence of a crime. The most critical footage came from cameras near a wooded area by the South Chickamauga Creek. Using this data, police focused their search in that area. On December 1st, while combing through a hard-to-reach section of the woods, they found a suitcase hidden in the brush. When investigators opened it, they discovered black garbage bags inside, which contained Jasmine's remains. This discovery marked the turning point in the investigation that had been underway since she first went missing. After finding her, the police immediately sent her body for a forensic examination. The medical examiner determined that Jasmine had suffered at least 60 stab wounds, most of them concentrated on the left side of her upper body. The experts pointed out that the pattern of the wounds showed a desperate effort to shield her vital organs. No traces of alcohol were found in Jasmine's system, an important fact that refuted any suggestions that she might have been intoxicated at the time of the struggle. The tests confirmed that she was completely sober, highlighting that she was fully aware of what was happening even in those final moments. Investigators also discovered that Jasmine's arms and legs had been restrained with chains. Her right hand was connected to her right ankle, and her left ankle was linked to her left wrist. These were not household items. The chains were clearly designed as a tool for forced restraint. Evidence showed that one of the chains had been damaged, likely when Jasmine tried to break free. The position of her body and the lack of injuries on her right arm suggested that she had almost no ability to fight back against the attacker. The expert emphasized that Jasmine had been fully conscious during this ordeal. At the scene of the crime, the knife that caused Jasmine's fatal wound was found still embedded in her chest. Experts determined that this knife had been taken from Jason's apartment. It was thoroughly analyzed for fingerprints and blood residue to establish its connection to the incident. Forensic tests confirmed that this knife was the exact weapon used in the attack that led to Jasmine's death. The wounds and their pattern showed that the attacker acted with intent and precision. The number of injuries left no doubt that this was a crime marked by extreme aggression. Law enforcement officers emphasized that the details of the wounds and the way they were inflicted ruled out any chance of an accident. The blows were directed at vital organs, and the depth and angle of the cuts indicated a deliberate and forceful attack. Experts noted that such injuries couldn't have been the result of a sudden panic or an accidental reaction. All the evidence pointed to a planned and purposeful attack, not a random conflict. Neighbors' statements helped complete the picture of what happened. They reported hearing screams and loud noises that stopped suddenly. Some mentioned they had heard an argument before the abrupt silence fell over the area. These first-hand accounts aligned with the evidence collected at the crime scene. Witnesses described how Jasmine tried to call out for help, but her voice was quickly silenced. After the crime, Jason Chen took steps to cover up what he had done. He immediately started using Jasmine's phone to send messages, trying to create the illusion that she was still alive and talking with her family and friends. He tried to mimic Jasmine's style in these messages, but it didn't fool anyone who really knew her. Her friends and family could see right away that the messages didn't sound like her at all. The photos that Jason posted to Jasmine's social media profiles had actually been taken long before the crime. These pictures didn't show any of the new tattoos or other details that Jasmine had added in recent months. Her friends found these posts odd and noticed that they felt out of place, like a clumsy attempt to distract everyone from the truth. Beyond photos, Jason kept sending messages from Jasmine's accounts, trying to keep up the illusion. But the tone of these messages was unconvincing and flat. They were short, emotionless, and lacked the warmth that Jasmine always put into her words. Her loved ones said that Jasmine always tried to write in a caring and engaging way, and these new messages were cold and mechanical. Even when Jason sent messages back and forth between Jasmine's accounts and his own to make it seem like they were talking, these fake conversations never felt real. As the investigation moved forward, detectives decided to search Jason's parents' house, where he had stayed after Jasmine disappeared. During the search, they found a SIM card that belonged to Jasmine, hidden in an eyeglass case among Jason's things. Police immediately understood that this was done deliberately to keep using Jasmine's phone and disguise his actions. This find showed investigators how Jason planned to mislead those who were trying to find out what had really happened. When Jason was arrested on November 29th, he stayed calm and confident. He didn't resist and didn't try to make excuses. On the outside, he seemed indifferent, but investigators noted that there was a tense edge to his behavior. He didn't ask many questions and seemed to already know that the evidence against him was overwhelming. All the evidence gathered, from the search of Jason's apartment to the analysis of messages and photos, formed a clear and logical timeline. Surveillance footage, witness statements, and the items investigators found all confirmed that he not only committed the crime against Jasmine, but also deliberately tried to mislead everyone to avoid facing consequences. Investigators paid special attention to screenshots of conversations with Jasmine found on Jason's phone. He had erased all the original messages from her phone so the police couldn't see the full history of their communication or Jasmine's final words. In their place, there were only carefully selected screenshots that Jason had saved. He seemed to be trying to use these snippets to make their conversations look calm and ordinary, creating the impression that nothing was wrong. But a thorough analysis by experts showed that these actions were a deliberate attempt to twist the facts and hide the truth. Equally important was the set of photographs discovered on Jason's phone. They had been taken in the bathroom of his apartment on the night of the crime and showed Jasmine in the apartment at the time she disappeared. Jason might have planned to use these pictures to suggest to investigators that there had been some kind of intimacy and no sign of aggression. It was part of his plan to make it seem like everything that happened was by mutual consent, and that Jasmine's death was an accident, not an intentional act of violence. However, these attempts to confuse the investigation didn't work. The experts quickly determined that the photos and screenshots were carefully curated and didn't tell the whole story. Each detail, the deleted messages, the edited chats, and the bathroom photos, showed that Jason had purposefully and methodically tried to mislead investigators and cover up his actions. Rather than hiding the truth, these clues highlighted his guilt and proved that he had planned to deceive everyone from the start. The arrest and subsequent searches finally made everything clear. Investigators concluded that this was not a random conflict, but a carefully orchestrated crime. Jason Chen never openly revealed his motive for attacking Jasmine Pace. During questioning, he tried to claim that the incident was the result of an argument. Jason said that, on the night of the crime, Jasmine saw notifications from Tinder on his phone and accused him of being unfaithful. According to him, she threw a glass at him, and he grabbed a knife to defend himself. But investigators quickly saw through this story. It didn't match the evidence at all. The trial of Jason Chen began in January 2025. Jasmine's family was there in the courtroom, along with reporters covering every detail. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, surveillance footage, phone data, and expert testimony. All of it showed that Jason had planned this crime carefully and tried to cover up what he'd done afterward. The defense argued that the conflict between Jason and Jasmine somehow led to the tragedy, but experts dismissed that theory. The nature of Jasmine's injuries and the lack of defensive wounds clearly pointed to a deliberate act. The most crucial piece of evidence came from the forensic expert, who confirmed that Jasmine had been restrained and unable to defend herself. In his final statement, the prosecutor emphasized that Jason had not only ended Jasmine's life, he had also tried to deceive everyone around him. But the facts spoke louder than his lies. The jury's decision was unanimous: life in prison without the possibility of parole. Jason no longer had any way to hide the truth. Thanks for watching, everyone. Your support means a lot to me, and you can help my channel grow by hitting that like button, dropping a comment, and sharing this video. Your engagement really makes a difference. See you soon.